Okay, hello, and welcome to the first installment of Getting It Done, discussion with EdTech district leaders and how they are responding to the COVID-19 situation. I'm Kevin Hogan, and with me today is Paul Sanfrancesco, Director of Technology for the Owen J. Roberts School District, which is located in Pottstown, just to the west of Philadelphia. For over 20 years, Paul has worked in Catholic, private, and public education, including as a teacher, assistant principal, and director of technology for school districts in the Philadelphia region, and in collegiate teaching at St. Joe's University and Newman University. The National School Boards Association named him one of the 20 to watch educators for his work in instructional technology. Paul, thanks so much for joining with me today for this conversation.
Thanks, Kevin.
Over the years, we've talked about a lot of different stuff when it comes to EdTech, usually face-to-face and maybe even an adult beverage or two. Unfortunately, we're stuck in this situation here, but wanted to get your thoughts on maybe even to kind of start on the where were you when you realized that this was something that was going to be have such a terrific effect on your district.
Yeah, we were in the midst of, seeing Montgomery County close right next to us. We were in Chester County. The governor closed the entire county next to us, which is Montgomery County, and that was the big shock to us because, the county next to us where many of our teachers live now have to stay home with their own kids. So it was like an oh wow moment and reaction. What do we do? We kind of knew things were coming, but not to that extreme of, okay, we have the whole county next to us closed. Now what? We're next.
Right.
So we were actually lucky that we were actually able to prepare teachers, take your laptops home, take what you need to take home, just in case we do close. And sure enough, our county closed the next day.
Wow. So your district has been, thanks to your leadership, pretty progressive when it comes to implementing technology and having certain schemes. Do you feel like you were ready for this? I mean, or were there some late nights and weekends? There probably were anyway, but.
I don't think anybody was actually ready. Our teachers, I feel, were more prepared to handle this kind of learning environment because of our implementation of, a learning management system at the high school. We standardized that. We've trained teachers on that. We've trained parents on that. At elementary, we have Seesaw, we have Google Classroom, and we have Canvas at the high school, and everybody was on that. Everybody was trained. And we actually mandated that all teachers, including guidance counselors, nurses, whatever, do one of their learning management systems in their school. So in the high school, it was Canvas, and the higher grades, Google Classroom, elementary. So in that regards, compared to other districts who had to scramble and close and do no instruction for like a week so they can do PD for their teachers to learn a learning management system or get the ones that weren't on it, we were ahead of that curve of standardization, getting all PD ready, getting them ready, getting our parents trained, and they were accustomed to seeing that environment. Now, to the extent of that environment's being used, we were a 2-week, optional learning. Everybody thought we were going to go back, it was that,
yeah.
And so we were great. And then when we realized this may not end, so then it was a whole shift to how much synchronous learning do we do? How much, grading? It blew up for us. But in readiness, I think our district was much better prepared than most districts in our area because of how we were looking at technology as
Right.
that tool in the classroom already.
So what sort of ideas have you gotten out of that between the shift from what was maybe a super snow day type of scenario into one that's like long term?
What we're taking out is, our teachers are so ingrained in a brick and mortar environment and a blended environment. An online environment for an extended period of time requires more professional development. It's just a different shift. You can't do exactly what you've done in your classroom now online. It just won't translate. And you don't want the the student to become that ultimate teacher where you're just doing assignments and they're learning it, they're doing it, and they're just asking questions. There has to be that blend of online instruction, those modules that come in, that those Zoom office hours, those emails. It's just a different environment that some teachers really adapted to, and other teachers are just struggling because it's a delivery change. It's a real delivery change.
Yeah. How about in terms of the age of the students? So I have three beta testers here in my own house. One's a freshman in college who came back from Fordham. I have a sophomore in high school and then an incoming. And each have had very different experiences. The older two slid in pretty well. The youngest, not so much. And I have a number of nieces and nephews who are in the primary grades, and I think it's a nightmare. Can
Yeah,
you talk a
yeah.
little bit to that?
They're struggling in the elementary, the lower grades. That's where your reading, it is important, and that's where that face to face is so crucial. And you have to understand that parents are at home working, or some have to go to work, or they're caring for another relative, and they have 3 or 4 other children, and the attention those younger kids need just for technology wise, we assume everybody has technology. The younger kids may not have a device, or that one device that was the iPad of the house did the assignments for school, but now is not doing the instruction full day for school. And that's hard on families. And the elementary teachers are so awesome with instruction. All teachers are, but the elementary teachers, I have a real passion for the elementary teachers because they're forming these young learners they're like sponges.
Yeah.
And this environment is kind of hard, and sometimes you get on a Google Meet call and the kids just want to talk to each other, and it's hard to get them focused when they're in their own environment, and they need a parent there also, or an older brother or sister to help them with the technology, the piece. And it's not as easy as the older kids, that upper elementary, middle, and high. They can go strictly online and don't need as much support as those K2 kids. It's a lot.
Yeah. And especially in this particular scenario, I've been reading a lot about how important the social, emotional aspects of all this is. Do you have any of those sort of strategies in place?
Yeah, we some of our, especially K2, did an online recess. It
Yeah.
just because the kids want to get together and they see each other as a class and they want to talk and socialize. Because think about it, a lot of these K2, K3 kids have been isolated in their houses with
Yeah.
no communication with their teacher, with their student, with a neighbor, with anything, depending on where you live. When your parents, idea of what's going on. Can you see a cousin? Can you not see a cousin? Is your mom a nurse where you can't socialize or social distance with anybody? So
Yeah.
when they get online, you need that social and emotional learning where you let them have recess. Hey,
Yeah.
everybody bring a snack and let's have, our snack buddy, and
Yeah.
do that. We realized that later that we needed to put those strategies in, especially for those, because once you got that out of the way, then you did it in a class, you were able to focus more because the highs and buys, the hellos, the games were there, and they needed that structure.
Right. Right. Talk a little bit about the population of students that you have special needs that might be on IEPs. That must be an especially difficult situation.
Yeah, our special ed department has been great since we have done some video conferencing in the past. It was a good transition in, and a lot of our paraprofessionals and our special ed and our regular ed teachers do one-on-one like we're doing right now with those students, and really making them make sure they're connected back to those familiar faces. A lot of students, special ed or regular ed, need that FaceTime with their teacher, FaceTime with their special ed supervisor, and just that connection of checking in with them. And the parents loved it because they still saw that connection. And then the parents saw what the teacher strategies in the classroom were, then they can take that home and say, all right, I realize that happened with my student there every day. I need to get this here. I need to keep that routine sometimes regular with that student. And some strategies at home weren't the strategies we're using at school. So we were helping the parents on that too. This is how you get your child to do that assignment, and it has been a partnership between the parents and us.
Talk a little bit more about that parent connection. Again, I mean, we've been talking for years about the implementation of technology in schools, and we talk about the importance of professional development for teachers, and we talk about the kids. And it's kind of dawned on me during this whole scenario that we never really talked about the parents.
Yeah,
They were never really part of the conversation. And now all of a sudden, they're a major stakeholder, right?
we need to do more parent professional development. It was evident. My superintendent had a meeting with all the PTA presidents, our parent teacher organizations, just her. And we were able to just be quiet in that meeting, and we got honest input from them on, hey, we knew how to use Google Classroom, but we knew how to Google Classroom as a parent. As a teacher, in Canvas, you need to put all your assignments in Calendar. It's hard for us when we this teach. So we need to standardize rubrics and templates now, that when a child and parent logs into one of our systems, everything is kind of in the same place. Before it was the students, they were able, I found it here, here, here. You have a parent going, I clicked here and it didn't work. Well, it's over here now. Why? It was even those little things. It makes a big difference in a parent's life. Those 10 minutes of searching for something, it could be 10 minutes with another child, and how we deliver content and helping them understand how we're doing it. More of a curriculum PD for parents, technology PD for parents. When this happens again, we need to put series together for them, for our own district, on here's how to navigate, here's how to do this, because they were using it differently as a blended approach or a homework approach,
right,
than an instruction approach.
Right. Talk a little bit about any silver linings that you discovered in this process. Anything that's been like, oh, you know what? We could have been doing this all along, or something that you can apply now.
Yeah, it's the devices and internet connection. It was huge. Our district is a suburban rural district. We're kind of a larger land district in our area, Philadelphia, and it was interesting. We're 1-to-1 in the high school. We're 1-to-1 going 1-to-1 in the middle school, taking home, but we're 1-to-1 cart-based in elementary right now in middle. And when we put out who needs devices, we gave over 800 Chromebooks. And that's excluding high school, because our 1,600 seat high school already had Chromebooks.
Yeah.
So 800 families needed another device. And some of it's needs, some of it's, I only have 2 devices at home, or I only have an iPad and a phone that work. Now I need a device to use for instruction, or I have 5 kids, or I have DSL, or I use my hotspot, or I have no internet.
Right.
That was huge in regards to what we're doing here, and really getting people connected. There were we have some low-income housing. We have some trailer parks in our area that didn't have internet at all.
Yeah.
They were kind of bumming internet off of the free Wi-Fi at school, or going to the library, which wasn't an option. So we had to have drive-in internet campuses where you could come to campus, stay in your car, and do your work. We work with Comcast and other vendors in our area to open up hotspots and we actually had to give hotspots to families. We also begged neighbors to give passwords out to their Wi-Fi so another person get connected, because they were in remote areas. It was those were the kind of things that were kind of that point of pride that we didn't realize, that we just went out and did it. I physically had to deliver over 200 Chromebooks to houses, because people couldn't get out of their houses.
It's amazing. It's amazing. But you're right. But it happened. right? And it happened around the planet. So all those years of talking about digital equity and wringing our hands, like, how are we going to do it? All it took was a global pandemic, I guess.
And we need to leverage more of our, well, in our area, our townships to provide free internet, because the townships control the, the contracts and the things like that to Comcast and Service Electric and Verizon and things like that, that they need to start supporting more of. We need to provide internet to all,
Right.
and it's, from a cost, low cost or whatever, we need to do something. Comcast Essentials and all were great, but we're not digging that line to that house because it's too far. Well, that's not fair. That's a family that lives in that township that needs
Right.
internet.
Right.
Even if it's wireless, put towers up, do something
Right.
that we can
Right.
all get connected.
Yeah. Well, now what are your plans looking forward? That's the big question everybody's asking. Is it going to be a mix, or do you have different scenarios that you're preparing? Or
So, Kevin, I know you're from Jersey and the Philly area and PA, and we are waiting for guidance from our governor and our county officials. We have, started some planning with our principals and parents and
yeah,
teachers and whatever. And some districts are going to extremes. They're spending days, hours, weeks on making like 15 scenarios for them. And it could be the 16th that the state puts in. And right now we're worried about virtual graduation for,
yeah,
our middle, our elementary, our high school. We're worried about teacher support. We are collaborating, but we're supposed to hear in 2 weeks what the plan is for Pennsylvania for schools. And our Secretary of Education has already said he plans to have us open. But with the CDC guidelines, I don't see how we can open because our schools are not equipped. Our buses aren't equipped. Our
it's the buses. That's the one that you go, oh, no way, right?
Everyone's like, oh, do a tiered thing. Well, you can't, like it or have the parents drive. Then it doesn't work. I mean, we can make anything work.
Yeah.
It's if we have to follow the state guidelines, the federal guidelines, the hours, the minutes, the days, the instruction, it's not going to work. And then the physical distancing with students, and you can't have a cafeteria or you can't do this. But we've looked at it all, and in Pennsylvania, the camp guidelines are less restrictive than the school guidelines right now. We're like, how fair is this? That glad for the camps, but we can't open schools right now with that happening. And we are having scenarios right now and going through, but we let all the Chromebooks stay home over the summer. Everybody who has a hotspot will keep it. And if they come back in the fall, they just bring it with them. If they don't, we're ready for that online environment, or that, they would bring elementary in and keep high school and middle school home. So we can, everything's on the table.
Yeah.
It's just, we're waiting for major direction on what to do in the future. And it's going to be crunch time in the summer.
Yeah. How about the one thing that I've been wondering about is that there doesn't seem to be many districts that are doing kind of a continuation of learning through the summer. Is that something that you guys considered, or is it just was just like, what, we're just going to take a break and come back? And
well, everyone thinks that's, oh my God, that's the easiest thing to do. You have a collective bargaining agreement with your union. You have parents who are going on vacation and some of them said, we've had enough. We wanted you guys to end at Memorial Day. Why are you going to June 5th or June 15th or whatever?
Yeah.
It's there's so many variables and a budget. We would have to pay teachers that, because they're required by contract to teach so many days.
Yeah.
Now, if we go into the summer, what does that look like for them, their own families, things like that? I know California has year-round schooling, and they're saying they may go back early, and now we're hearing that they're not, maybe because of contracts. And where's the budget come from? People are out of work. In Pennsylvania, we have taxes, and the housing, the townships, the people pay that. They're not working. now we're going to say you got to pay more taxes because we're going to teach more in the summer. Like, there's all those variables that need to come together that, we do have ESY and extended school year, and we're going to keep those programs and do that virtually. But it's not as easy to say, okay, we're going to go another month.
Yeah. It's not going to happen. Well, look, we're running out of time here. I want to kind of get a final question, hopefully a glass half full answer. But when we look at these digital blending that's happening in instruction, do you think no matter what happens, whether it magically disappears and we're back in school, or if we have another whole year of this kind of extreme remote learning, do you think that these techniques are finally going to stay in place or not?
Yes, we can't go backwards. Like, this has proven the role that the technology tool plays in a lot of things. We are going to change. You brought up special ed, how we do IEPs. We're going to change how we do instruction right now because of this environment. And we've always had pockets of success. I don't care what district you're in. You didn't have 100% participation with people using technology to this degree, and now we do. In some level. And to go back to the brick and mortar and say, okay, we're just going to go back to this instruction of just lecture and maybe using technology here and there, it's not going to happen. It's going to be more involvement of, hey, we have a student that's sick at home. We're on the calls like this. We have a situation, whatever, or, we're even thinking of starting our own cyber school within the district, because some people may think, hey, this environment is good for our students. And, we have some cyber schools in our area, but why not have our own branded cyber school where we keep children in our own district where they can participate in our own sporting events and activities? And, there's a lot of reasons why online learning is good for some kids and they need the brick and mortar for other. There should be a blend that they're exposed to both, in hybrid classes and online classes. And I see an expansion of that in our own district. We were doing that before, but I think moving forward, we're going to see more of it. It's not going to be, okay, we're done with this. We're going to put the pandemic plan here, and then we're going to go back. I think they're going to blend in the future, and we're going to see a lot of more innovative, creative ideas come out of instruction.
Well, Paul, I really appreciate your time. I think it's a fascinating discussion, and I think a lot of your suggestions, just the online recess is one where it's like, it's perfect, and I think I'm going to suggest it for my youngest one, because they get on Zoom calls and they don't know what to do, right? They don't know how to talk. It's like you hand them a telephone, they don't know how to talk on a telephone. It's the same thing. So
they're like, look at my phone. They're all sharing stuff.
Yeah, they're back channeling on TikTok at the same time, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And the times of those recesses, sometimes it's better to do it in the afternoon or evening, not in the morning, because they all get up. We had more attendance in the evening recess than we did in the morning recess.
I'm sure the parents just,
they're like, yeah, Grant on it.
Get on your screens.
That's exactly right.
Great. Well, thanks again, Paul, and I appreciate it. And thanks everybody for watching. This has been Getting It Done. And I'm Kevin Hogan. We'll see you at the next one.